rose petals down for you.
You should. That'd be nice. Fuck, we always do shit that makes us look gay as hell. Like, what the fuck? Everything we do makes us look so...
I know, it's Valentine's Day. You're not taking your girlfriends out, you're taking your boyfriend out.
We're going to see Decapitated. That's Valentine's Day, yeah. What? Well, you understand. I've been listening to that album for almost 2 decades. The fact that I found that fucking album when I was like 14, and the fact that they're playing the whole thing in its entirety is like insane. I did. I looked it all up today. Because the album's Nihility across North America. So then I googled it, and I fucking called Aaron. And I'm like, it says you look forward to, it says Nihility Across America refers to a concert to a Polish extreme metal band where they are performing their classic album Nihility in its entirety across various cities in North America. They're focused on playing their album Nihility live throughout the holy fucking shit. Unreal.
Do you see this photo though? Like, if you look, just like look at the numbers, the way like.
Yeah, I've done that before. It's weird. I'm fucking right into WoW now. I subscribed for 6 months.
Great to meet you.
I can't attack that target.
Safe travels.
Interest you on a pint? Here there. Watch your back.
I'll just figure out how to cancel it. Because I don't know what day.
Off with you. Be good. Off with you. Watch your back.
I wrote it down.
That's not it. I don't know what the hell you wrote down.
Yeah, but so I'm going to have to cancel it.
Why?
It's the day before the concert, and I want to leave early the day of the concert. I can't leave 2 days early in a
The
row.
concert's Thursday. Whatever, you deal with it.
Oh, I'm going to call and cancel. Because it's the 13th. Like, that sucks.
Be good.
I'm going to call and see if she can move at 4:30. Wait. Yeah.
Is it Monday? So they're there till when?
It's Monday?
Yeah. Tonight. So they're there until what time on Mondays?
Oh, they're there until... I don't know, but I just want to play this fucking game until I go to bed, so I ain't calling nobody doing nothing right now. Do it tomorrow when I'm getting paid.
What about Family Day coming up? Long weekend.
When's that? Oh, really? Nice.
IKEA said.
So you paid to be here. Mashed between half an inch of plexiglass and 215 pounds of human? Why? For the glory of sports. Be ready with high protein from Vector.
Did you know most SaaS applications don't back up your user data? Your SaaS application's terms and conditions clearly state that it's your data.
But I will
shit.
sprinkle sprinkle some Mexican style shredded cheese all over it.
I've sprayed like Cheese Whiz directly into my mouth.
You got me beat there.
Wow.
I've never done that.
Yay, white people points. Barbecue.
Yeah, but
next.
do you have a nugget ice machine?
No. And I don't have a smoker either. So
IKEA says he 100% eats cheese as a snack. He also likes ahi tuna,
No.
triangle spam,
Safe travel.
and pineapple on pizza.
I was trying to think of how to make cheese
And
redundant.
IKEA's latest favorite.
Oh, queso cheese.
IKEA's latest favorite food is pineapple poutine.
Really? That's gross.
No.
I didn't say it.
No, but that we found that's a real thing when I was in Toronto.
I think I'm pretty basic though, because factory, I would still want to see like a Porsche
be built.
You can watch that on How It's Made. On How It's Made Supercar, they follow a Porsche.
Oh, okay, I haven't seen it. That's how
They also do R8. They also do an R8.
Nice.
Because I've seen like the GTR, like an R35.
Well, that's my
get built,
YouTube
but-
queue tonight.
Yeah.
So-
No,
I know what I'm doing tonight.
No, you need to watch How It's Made Supercars. They have a
Nice.
whole bunch. They do like Rolls Royce. They do a DB9 or DB12. They do a bunch of supercars. And but yeah, I think McLaren is on there too.
Today I learned.
Nice.
Yeah. They had a whole subtitle of supercars.
I still want nachos now.
I ruined
I'm
you.
about to do it. Like when I go home, and make nachos. Just like, but I use the oven. I use the microwave.
I do
IKEA,
I do still have some queso.
IKEA just said so I can game tomorrow and not see Jay bench testing and launching 100 things on his game.
Yeah.
Hey, it happens to all of us. Okay, we
Dude,
all
there's
have
been
to see
some
him.
times where I've logged into my ally in bed, and then it's just like JC Sense is running Cyberpunk. I'm like, damn, he's still there. I was like, holy shit, dude.
Oh, you mean like you go home and you
Yeah, you were like still benchmarking super late, like one night or whatever, and I was like, damn, that sucks.
Yeah. Well, I guess you didn't see me on the weekends either.
Yeah.
Almost done.
We invented
Almost done.
poutine in Quebec.
See,
yeah, duh.
You know, it's not necessarily these new cards that
How
are making
are
me
ya?
have to spend this time. It's the fact that the data means nothing if I don't test all the old stuff too.
Yeah, exactly. We could say that the 1590 gets 200 FPS, but like in a vacuum, it doesn't do anything.
And here's the other thing too is, my brain died. I forgot what I was gonna say. So with the new testing methodology, the redundancy, and like the way we have to DDU the drivers every time, etc. It takes a solid full workday to test one card with the new suite.
Yeah.
A solid day for one card. I've got about 25 cards I still have to test to back on our backlog. But those are going to be cards like going all the way back to like 2016 and all that sort of stuff. 'Cause no, that's why I was checking to make sure I had others. But when it comes to like most of these cards, we will always try to test FE or MSRP model as much as possible. And then what we do is if we test a custom model, it's more or less seeing what do you gain over the MSRP model, right? And so FE is always my priority if there's FE versions of the card.
Yeah.
Like for instance, the 3090 Ti, we don't have an FE. We only have the EVGA one. And I didn't even include that in our particular testing. But I was like, okay, for the 5090, how many cards do I need to really kind of like test what do I think people might be upgrading from to determine that's a card that makes the most sense. That's why I stuck to 8090.
It's too far away. I'm out of range.
Monday.com, the first work platform you'll love to use.
You're wasting tons of money on deodorant. Stop it! Did you know deodorants don't actually stop sweat? Deodorants use fragrance to conceal body odor, which is the same thing as spraying perfume on your armpits. The problem with this is that it doesn't stop the source of the odor. You can think of it as a 3-step process. Step 1, you sweat. Step 2, that sweat washes away your deodorant. And step 3, that sweat causes bacteria to build and cause odor. We were both really sweaty.
Counterintuitive thing about engine is that for it to feel good, you have to have already a high base input frame rate, which requires a card with a lot of horsepower.
Which requires already like a 90 series
Yeah,
card.
exactly. So that's the thing, is that like you already have the card if you have a 5090, right? You already have the card with all the horsepower to get you a decent thing. So I think I heard it mentioned somewhere once, and it was like probably the most neutral I've ever heard NVIDIA talk about frame gen, where they said it's like the guy was saying, he was talking about how it's basically kind of just like sharing the gap between where your rendered frame rate is and the hertz of your monitor. If you have a 240 hertz monitor. I like frame gen is kind of pointless for, I think, people with like 120 hertz, 144 hertz monitors, just because like if you have 5090, you're probably already rendering the game at those frame rates are close enough. You know what I mean? But like if you have a 240 hertz monitor or a 360 hertz monitor and something like that, and you really want to just see what 360 hertz in Cyberpunk looks like, you know what I mean? Even though you're not going to be getting that input latency, it's cool. It's just, yeah, there's no getting away from the feel of the fact that it's always going to feel like the input frame rate.
See, the crazy thing, without using DLSS in our tests, like Cyberpunk 2077, the base frame rate with our RT medium preset, no DLSS, no upscaling,
Yeah,
no
but
frame gen,
rendering native of 4K.
was what? I think it was like 62.1 FPS.
Yeah, which is honestly insane to think about.
It is, because without DLSS and ray trace, even though there's no ray trace for flex, the only ray trace feature that does not enable when you do ray tracing medium preset in Cyberpunk is reflections.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's all the lighting.
Yeah.
It's all the lighting and shadows, but reflection isn't on.
Welcome to the Waverhood.
The Wayfair vibe at our place is Western.
My thing, darling, shine.
Gardening.
Some of us go for the dramatic.
How didn't I know Wayfair had vanities in tile?
This? Yeah. Do you have any ottomans without legs? Sean, you'll flip for the proof card. In the Waverhood, there's a place for all of us.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
One of those soccer, swim, and softball after school kind of days, huh? Don't stress. HelloFresh has dinner covered, no matter what your week looks like. So you can get a delicious homemade meal on the table in no time. HelloFresh, homemade, made easy.
This is the video where he talks about all the shit, so we can get into it. Damn.
Very busy weekend. We got the 6 hostages out of Venezuela, as you probably know. And they're very safe right now. They're home with their families.
Well, that's
And
good.
we appreciate the hard work of a lot of people.
I didn't even know
including
that was happening.
Brunel. We appreciate the cooperation from Venezuela. And we have some very happy people right now. Nobody thought that was going to happen. So they are home, they're safe, and they're with their families. That was a big one. Secretary of State Rubio is in Panama right now. And
Little Marco.
we're talking about the Panama Canal. What they've done is terrible. They violated the agreement. Not allowed to violate the agreement.
Apparently, they came back to the table too, by the way. Huge win with the Panama Canal. Officials announced that it will not be renewing its memorandum of understanding with China. There it is.
Is running the Panama Canal.
Yeah.
That was not given
It's
to
$3
China.
million
It
for
was
shit.
given to Panama
I could see
foolishly.
that adding up.
But they violated the agreement, and
Yeah, I could
gonna
definitely
take
see
it
that
back,
adding
or
up.
something very powerful is going to happen. And as far as other things are concerned, as you know, we had a very busy weekend. We're dealing with Israel. We're dealing with Ukraine and Russia. We have meetings and talks scheduled with various parties, including Ukraine and Russia. And I think those discussions are actually going pretty well. The discussions on the Middle East with Israel and various and sundry other countries are progressing. Bibi Netanyahu is coming on Tuesday. And I think we have some very big meetings scheduled.
Elon Musk is delivering on his promises. He's doing a good job right now. With
I do. I think Elon's doing a good job. He's a big cost cutter. Sometimes we won't agree with it and we'll not go where he wants to go. But
So there was a guy, let me see if I can find it real quick. And apparently somebody was on the government payroll. Let me see if I can show you guys this. So let me see, it might take me a minute to find this, but I'll see if I can get it. And where the fuck is it? Where the fuck did it go? Oh my God, where is it? He's making so many posts, it's hard to keep up with it. Well, anyway, there was some guy causing trouble that was getting money from the government, and then Elon found out about it, and he said not anymore. So basically, they're just cutting off funding for a lot of these random fucking clowns, which is, like, in my opinion, thank God. You know, wasting this fucking money, giving people that are morons money. Thank God. Yeah, just like Argentina. Yeah, I have no idea about that. I don't know. Let me see. I wish I could find this. Yeah, legacy media panicking because they underestimated Doge. Yeah, like he's being like he's getting a lot of this money out. And in my opinion, I think thank fucking God. I bet there's been so much. Oh, here we go. Let's see if I can find it. Yep. So apparently, let's see if I can find, where is it? It's this guy right here. So basically, this guy says the deep state is far more preferable to the Trump state. And then apparently this guy got exposed for getting money from the government. And then Elon Musk said that, you know, this is probably not going to happen for very long. And that's it. That's it. Yeah, it's kind of AI already. Bill's part of the deep state. Yeah, get rid of him. Get him the fuck out.
I think he's doing a great job. He's a smart guy, very smart. And he's very much into cutting
Thank God.
the budget of our federal government.
We fixed the glitch? Yeah.
From Canada. Say it? We saw some retaliatory tariffs from Canada. There was a rider in the order. Are you planning to increase the tariffs against Canada?
Well, it could happen. If they do anything, we will. Canada's been very abusive of the United States for many years. They don't allow our banks. Did you know that? Canada does not allow banks to go in. If you think about it, that's pretty amazing. If we have a U.S. bank, they don't allow them to go in.
Damn.
It's been very tough on oil, on energy. They don't allow our farm products in, essentially. They don't allow a lot of things in, and we allow everything to come in. It's been a one-way street. We subsidize Canada by the tune of about $200 billion a year. And for what? What do we get out of it? We don't get anything out of it. I love the people of Canada. I disagree with the leadership of Canada. And something's going to happen there. But
something's going to happen. I wonder, there's no way we're going to try to make them a state, right? Like, there's no...
Like, play the game. I don't mind. We can play the game all they want. Mexico, we've had very good talks with them.
Watch your back.
And this is retaliatory. This is retaliatory to a certain extent.
So he's just saying it.
Millions of people flowed into our country through Mexico and Canada, and we're not going to allow that. And
Fuck, we got another couple inches of snow already. What's with this here? Maybe they close in the morning. Yeah. So, anyway, as well. No. So, anyway. That's all I called to tell you, nothing important. I said, that's all I called to tell you, nothing important. The girl kept trying to bill my card, and it wouldn't work. And I'm like, fuck, I don't really want to put it on my other one because the mortgage comes out. Like, that's like my actual money, right? Like, I was putting it on the MasterCard. Tried. No, sir, there's money. I'm positive there's money on there, you know what I mean? Like, only, anyway, I don't owe nothing on it. I'm like, oh, fuck. So then I go to sign in the app. It says, geez, won't let me sign. Then after I get off the phone and I look at my text, and I had a text, the entire bank kept texting me, oh,
I'm out of range.
all I had to do was just click yes.
It's too far away. I need to get
Alright, bye. Is it? I hope it goes way down then. Alright, I'll probably call you when we're down there next week. Tickets and he's like, that and this and that. He wants to go to everything, right? That we can afford to. But I said, why don't you just book that ticket? And I said, when we go down,
I'm out of range.
What we want to do with it. If we do on a whim when we're down there, we're gonna buy tickets to, like, you know, Dream Theater. I'll call you before I do anything in case he wants to go.
I need to target something first.
That's quite the show. Just gets better the whole song. But the guy singing, he's like a lot like the singer's a lot like a wizard. Like, I don't know, they're all like wizards, really. That's what they reminds me of. But it's like them two fellers fucking on guitars, like they just jams out. It's like they're in their own world. Pretty good though. Must be your birthday every day of the year then. Oh yeah. And birthday is 365 days of the year, I suppose. Oh yeah. Shannon was getting quotes on well, we're going to somebody else now, her friend that she went to school with. But it's crazy though, people what they charges. Yeah, and she wants them done with the kids. But I would prefer no about that. If I want to pick somebody else, I'll pick somebody else. No hard feelings there. But truthfully, Shannon wants them down by her mother's out by the river. So her friend is willing to do that, and then her baby pictures or whatever, she's willing to help out, so. They went to school together, right? It's not like it's some random person. But originally she went online and just out of curiosity, she's like, oh, I'll see what's out by my mom's, right? Because that's where she wants to get photos done. And the fucking girl come back quoted $600. Like, holy cow, bud. It's pretty standard. I mean, people do it at a wedding. They get like, my God, bud. Well, that's what I'm saying, right? So it's like, it's ridiculous. Take a couple pictures and put them on your computer, or put them on a floppy disk. Fuck, I should have been a photographer. Very good. I never heard back from here after, but if I do, I'll let you know. I was gonna say something else now. Oh, Shannon said you're
It's
all
too far
excited
away.
buying stuff.
I need to get closer. Little things like Shannon was saying, maybe like you buy like a few $5 gift cards for Tim Hortons. I mean, everybody drinks Tim Hortons, you know what I mean? I'm out of range.
Yeah, well, don't go get nothing else until he all meets up and you get
Too far away.
You don't want to, like, you know, make plans to come up here and make plans, and then he shows up and says, alright guys, I got everything bought. You know what I mean? Like, that's retarded, man. Like, I'm happy you're excited, but don't buy everything and go overboard.
How are you? Watch your back.
She might have her own ideas too, my dear. She might say, I don't want bags.
I can't attack that.
I understand, mother. I'm just saying. You guys all made a date to come here. You should all come up and figure out the rest of it. That's all. Just don't. Yeah. You know what I'm trying to say. I'm not giving you a hard time. I just don't want you to take it all on yourself and then show up here to make plans and say, I got everything planned. Very good. Yeah. Alright. Oh yeah.
Talk to me.
Oh, very good.
Safe travels. See you soon.
Oh, shit.
Watch your back.
Alright, I'll talk to you later. Bye.
And something's going to happen there.
I can't attack
United
But
States.
Something's gonna happen. I wonder. There's no way we're gonna try to make them a state, right? Like, there's no like.
Play the game. I don't mind. We can play the game all they want. Mexico, we've had very good talks with them, and this is retaliatory. This is retaliatory to a certain extent.
So he's just saying
Millions of
it.
people flowed into our country through Mexico and Canada, and we're not going to allow that. And by the way, we have among the lowest numbers we've ever had of people crossing our border. The lowest numbers since my administration.
Mr. President, you said, so on Truth Social, you said that you were going to cut aid from South Africa. Will you plan to cut aid across other African nations, and why South
No,
Africa?
it's only South Africa. Terrible things are happening in South Africa.
Yeah.
The leadership is doing some terrible things, horrible things. So that's under investigation right now. We'll make a determination. And until such time as we find out what South Africa is doing, they're taking away land, they're confiscating land, and actually they're doing things that are perhaps far worse than that.
And on the Fed Chair Jerome Powell, he held rates. What's your reaction to him not?
They're killing whites. I don't know if they are or not. That's what a lot of people say, though. A lot of people say that.
He held the rates. He didn't cut them.
No, I'm not surprised. I think holding the rates at this point was the right thing to do.
They are, man. This is the way I look at it. I want to pay for that fucking shit. No, man. Let them fucking rot. Like, that's not my problem. What happens in Africa? I give a fuck what happens in Africa? Get the fuck out of here.
Which country will be next on Paris? Would you consider taxing the UK, for example?
Well, we're going to see what happens. It'll happen. But we're going to, we'll see how things work out. It might happen with them. But
it's not our problem.
It will definitely happen with the European Union. I can tell you that. Because they've really taken advantage of it. And, you know, we have over a $300 billion deficit. They don't take our cars. They don't take our farm products. They take almost nothing. And we take everything from them. Millions of cars, tremendous amounts of food and farm products. So the UK is way out of line, and we'll see the UK, but European Union is really out of line. UK is out of line, but I'm sure that one, I think that one can be worked out.
You
But
mean South
the,
Africa?
European
No,
Union
I do.
is-
I do. Keep in mind, I do mean South Africa, not all Africa. Like Kenya, we don't need to bring Kenya into this. Kenya didn't do anything wrong.
Atrocity.
Yeah, it's
What
just
they've
South
done.
Africa. No, you're right. You're right.
Well, Prime Minister Starmer has been very nice.
Yeah,
We've
I don't
had
know.
A couple of meetings. We've had numerous phone calls.
Fine
We're getting
to me.
along very well. And we'll see whether
I mean,
or
we
not
had a
we can
president
balance
from
out
Kenya.
our budget. With the
Guy was
European
great.
Union, it's $350 billion deficit. So obviously something's going to take place there.
For the European Union, what's your timeline? And are you thinking along
Where?
the line of 25%?
Yeah. With who?
10%?
With who?
The EU, how much?
I wouldn't say there's a timeline, but it's going to be pretty soon.
Yeah.
No, I'm not concerned. We may have short-term a little pain, and people understand that. But long-term, the United States has been ripped off by virtually every country in the
No,
world.
it's probably gonna tariffs probably gonna make
It's
shit
too
more
far
expensive in the short term for sure. Definitely. I mean, I could easily see that happening, and it sucks, right? But it's like, is it better to do that or not? I mean, I don't know. And the long term, who knows?
We have deficits with
The
almost every country, not every
the long
country,
term remains to be seen. The short term is pretty much definitive.
but almost. And we're going to change it. It's been unfair. That's why we owe $36 trillion. We have deficits with everybody. We help everybody. We've been helping everybody for years. And to be honest, I don't think they appreciate it. So we're going to change that. We're going to change it and make America great again. We have to focus on our country. We have tremendous potential if properly used, and we have to focus on our country.
We gotta bring back nuclear power. That's what we gotta do. We gotta bring back a lot of nuclear power.
Tremendous deficits with China, tremendous
The big one.
deficits with
Big
the
one.
European Union, tremendous deficits with Mexico and Canada. And
Bring back
why?
nuclear war?
What's the purpose of that? Why
No.
would we have deficits?
No.
You look at
I don't want to do that.
look at pharmaceuticals and drugs. You can look at various products. It's much cheaper in other countries. We're not
Not
going to
yet.
allow that much lower. We're not going to take it.
We'll next time that we have a hurricane, we'll use a nuke on it.
And we're getting them
Wait,
out.
what?
Well, it's been run by a bunch of radical lunatics, and we're getting them out. USAID, run by radical lunatics, and we're getting them out, and then we'll make a decision.
Fuck them.
I've spoken with people from Canada, I've spoken with people from Mexico, and I've spoken to a lot of other people. I'm speaking with Prime Minister Trudeau tomorrow morning, and I'm also speaking with Mexico tomorrow morning. And I don't expect anything very dramatic. We put tariffs on. They owe us a lot of money, and I'm sure they're going to pay. About what? I don't think troops will be necessary in Panama. What Panama has done is terrible for national security for this part of the world. And, you know, 70% of the signage on the Panama Canal was
was already caving? Oh, yeah,
right.
they did.
It wasn't meant for China.
Yeah, they roached
It should have
out.
never been made. The deal was a ridiculous deal. We lost 38,000 people building the Panama Canal, one of the great wonders of the world. 38, think of it, 38. It was the most expensive project ever built by this country to take it forward. The most expensive project ever built.
USAID funded woke games.
What
Wait,
happened?
hold up. Wait, what?
Inventory is
the USAID funded woke video game. Wait, is that real? We're gonna look this up on AI after this.
China owns it all of a
No,
sudden?
no,
It's not
we're
going to
not.
happen. We're not going to let that happen. We have national security concerns, and they wouldn't let it happen either.
Yeah.
Mr. President, what would Canada and Mexico need to do for you to lift the tariff? What are specifically you want?
That have to balance out their trade, number one. That you've got to stop people from pouring into our country, and we've stopped it. They haven't stopped it. We've stopped it.
Yeah.
They have to stop people from pouring in, and we have to stop fentanyl, and that includes China.
No, we're gonna look into
Fentanyl
this.
has killed this year at least 200,000 people. It's pouring in from China through Mexico and Canada, and they've got to stop it. And if they don't stop it, the tariffs are going to get worse, a lot worse.
Nope. All right. Well, there it is, dude. Spouting bullshit. Y'all think he's spouting bullshit? The Mexican president didn't think that. I'll tell you that. Yeah, she certainly didn't fucking think that. So I don't know who thinks that. Yeah, it's not true. Yeah, I guess
too
so.
far away.
People say he's signing executive orders and shit. Like, I don't know about that. It seems like that's not what's happening. Yeah, it seems like that's absolutely not what's happening. That's what's happening. Oh, fuck. Is this new?
Okay, thank you, sir. Next, we have designation of Rick Grinnell, to be your envoy for special missions.
I sent him to California to turn on the water. We turned it on. It was not easy because we had to go through a lot of environmentalists that are causing a lot of problems, and we have billions of gallons of water.
Well, I don't
it
even
was
know
on
this
3
is
days
live.
ago. You probably saw. It should have gotten a lot of press, but it didn't get much.
This sounds new.
All we're doing is giving Los Angeles and the entire state of California virtually unlimited water, which they could have done 5 years ago, which I told them they should do, but the environmentalists stopped them. And we opened it, and we did it regardless of the state. And now the state seems to be very happy. I spoke with Gavin Newsom, and he
You saw he corrected himself.
My little nickname for him. But I think they're all happy. They have a lot of water in California. Too bad we didn't have it about 2 months ago, right?
He almost said it. He did.
That was a big move. We have. I don't know if you saw the pictures that were released of the water pouring down from the Pacific Northwest and Canada and lots of other places.
Trump posted a kill cam of bombing ISIS in caves. What?
He had a very big Friday trip. You're right. We'll talk about it. He's a good man, Rick.
Luckily, sir, we have a designation of Mark Burnett as your special envoy to the United Kingdom.
You know Mark Burnett is?
Oh my God.
I figure he should be good.
Let me see I find this.
He's done a great job.
This is so fucking funny.
Talented people working. Because Mark gets so much television.
He actually.
He'll be thrilled to see it.
Oh my God.
He's gonna do a good job.
Thank you, sir. Next, your administration has smashed records for appointing large numbers of highly qualified, capable people at all levels of the federal government. Government. These are 28 sub-cabinet level officials being appointed to a number of different departments and
Content
agencies.
makes itself,
Some
yeah.
of them are quite important positions like departmental general counsels, but these are people who have been pre-vetted and have received your approval previously.
Very good.
Great. This is gonna be 4 years of this shit.
Okay.
He posted
Thank you,
on
sir.
an Instagram as well.
Next, this is an executive order. Discharges your Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent, and your Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick, to begin a process that will hopefully result in the creation of an American sovereign wealth fund.
What?
It's a very exciting event.
What?
We're going to have a sovereign wealth fund, which we've never had. We have a lot of things that create wealth, and you're seeing that over the last 2 weeks. I think we've created more wealth. Other people have created de-wealth. The people, my predecessors, we're creating a lot of wealth. Scott, maybe you'd like to say something about it, and I'd ask also Howard to say something about it.
Yes, sir. This is very exciting. We're going to stand this thing up within the next 12 months. We're going to monetize the asset side of the U.S. balance sheet for the American people. We're going to put the assets to work. And I think it's going to be very exciting. We're going to study best practices as done around the world. It'll be a combination of liquid assets that we have in this country as we work to bring them out for the American people.
Yeah.
The extraordinary size and scale of the U.S. government and the business with companies should create value for American citizens. If we are going to buy 2 billion COVID vaccines, maybe we should have some warrants and some equity in these companies and have that grow for the help of the American people. So I bring all these things together. I think we'll create, Scott and I will create an amazing sovereign wealth fund for you, sir.
That's a lot of vaccines.
Other countries have sovereign wealth funds, and they're much smaller countries, so they're not the United States. We have tremendous potential in this country, tremendous. You're seeing that's what's happened just in a short period of time. And as an example, TikTok, we're going to be doing something perhaps with TikTok, and perhaps not. If we make the right deal, we'll do it, otherwise we won't. But I have the right to do that, and we might put that in the sovereign wealth fund, whatever we make, or if we do a partnership with very wealthy people. A lot of options, but we could put that as an example in the fund, and we have a lot of
US
other things
government
that we
owning
could put
TikTok?
in the fund. And I think in a short period of time we'd have one of the biggest funds, and you know, some of them are pretty large. I must tell you, some of like the Saudi Arabia fund is on the large side, but
Yeah, I heard
eventually
about
we'll
that.
catch it. But we're going to create a lot of wealth for the fund, and I think it's about time that this country had a sovereign wealth fund, and these two gentlemen and some others are going to work with them very closely, and they'll be heading it up, and they're going to do a great job. Two highly respected people that have done unbelievably well in the world, in the real world. So that's a big deal, huh?
Yes, sir. I think it's going to create value and be of great strategic importance.
Okay.
Mr. President, why is it important for Elon Musk to have access to the payment systems at Treasury?
Well, he's got access only to letting people go that he thinks are no good if we agree with him, and it's only if we agree with him. He's a very talented guy from the standpoint of management and costs, and we put him in charge of seeing what he can do with certain groups and certain numbers. Some of the numbers are horrible, what he's found. Think of it, $100 million on condoms to Hamas.
I thought it was only
Condoms
50.
to Hamas. And many other things that are frankly even more ridiculous.
They
And
doubled
they're
it?
finding tremendous waste, really waste.
This,
More
by
than
the way,
anything
is
else.
probably
I think
total bullshit.
Probably fraud and
It's funny.
added to it, more standard waste fraud and abuse. But they're finding tremendous amounts of really bad things, bad spending. You've been writing about some of it, frankly, and some of the things that they've been doing is just terrible. Elon can't do and won't do anything without our approval. And we'll give him the approval where appropriate, where not appropriate, we won't. But he reports in, and it's something that he feels very strongly about, and I'm impressed because he's running, obviously, a big company. It has nothing to do, if there's a conflict, that we won't let him get near it. But he does have a good natural instinct. He's got a team of very talented people. We're trying to shrink government, and he can probably shrink it as well as anybody else, if not better. Where we think there's a conflict or there's a problem, we won't let him go near it. But he has some very good ideas, and we have a lot of very other talented people also. We're bringing in the most talented people in the world. By the way, we just unrelated that we have two of the most talented people in the world.
Remind me about
The
that woke
legendary
video
Rupert
game
Murdoch
shit after
and Larry
this.
Ellison. So they are
Like-
two legends.
Yeah, we're gonna look this up.
And probably every other. Rupert is Larry pretty much in a class by himself, right? I mean, although he may have a couple of bucks more, I don't know. But Rupert is in a class by himself. He's an amazing guy, and Larry is Larry's one of the most serious players anywhere in the world. So it's an honor to have you. This has nothing to do with you people, but they're here, and I thought it would be appropriate. I'm sure you didn't recognize them. If you're all going crazy, they say, what are they doing here?
Thank you.
Is there any chance that Canada or China will also get out of the tariffs after you struck a deal with Mexico?
Well, nobody's out with Mexico. We had a great talk with Mexico, and we had.
This is actual like.
Is a woman I like her very much. We've had good relationships, but we have to know from coming in whether I like somebody or not, and we have to stop the illegal aliens from coming in. I think we've lost 200,000 people on average a year for many years, much higher than the 100,000. Could be even
Mafia
closer to
tactics is cartel
300,000.
tactics. I know that.
They've agreed to put in 10,000 soldiers permanently, like forever, 10,000 soldiers at their side of the border and stop fentanyl and illegal aliens
It
from
works.
coming
It
into our
does.
country. They have a big incentive.
It already
to do.
did work.
Other than that, we've agreed to talk, consider various other things. We haven't agreed on tariffs yet, and maybe we will, maybe we won't. But we have a very good relationship. I also spoke with Prime Minister Trudeau of Canada, and we had a good talk in the morning, but I did ask him a couple of questions, like, you know, banks aren't allowed to do business in Canada. Canada is very tough. Canada is very, you know, we're not treated well by Canada, and we have to be treated well.
Yeah, fuck Canada. Yeah,
Banks
true.
are not, as an example, allowed. Did you know that? That banks, American banks are not allowed to do business in Canada. Can you believe that?
I don't know if that's
And
true
that's
or
one
not.
of many things, and we talked about it. And I think we'll win most of the subjects. But for some reason, a lot of things have been very unfair with Canada. I noticed that in the first term. You deal with people, and after a while you begin to realize, like you learn that Larry Ellison's very tough to do business with, okay? He's a very tough guy. I mean, I'm sure you're shocked to hear that. But Canada is very tough. They're very, very tough to do business with. And we can't let them take advantage of the U.S. They don't take our agricultural product for the most part. They don't take our cars. They make cars, but they basically don't take our cars. And, you know, we don't need...
Banks aren't allowed in Canada?
I think we're going to have another good conversation today. We're
Canadian banks can't go get bankrupt?
But we don't need them to make our cars. We don't need them to give us lumber. We don't need them for agricultural products because we have all the agriculture we need. They don't take our agricultural product for the most part, our milk, dairy, etc. A little bit they do, but not much.
So we have to milk Canada to make them take our milk?
And as far as cars are concerned, they took in a big percentage, almost 19% of the market.
All right.
And, you know, I wouldn't mind making our cars in the United States, so we have a problem there. I'd like to make our cars in the U.S. We don't need Canada to make our cars. With that being said, we're going to have another call at 3 o'clock. We had a call this morning. It was a pretty good call, I'd say. So the call with Mexico went very well in the sense that they're very strong now on the border. They're going to put soldiers there. So, actually, they're best military soldiers, and they're going to be at the border. 10,000. That's a lot of soldiers, and they want to protect it also. You know, they don't want people running through Mexico, coming through Mexico to come into our country. So they're going to do that. And then we're going to talk about other things over the next, and we're going to have, over the next 30 days, we're going to have Scott, Howard, and Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, lead the delegation, and we're going to have a big negotiation with Mexico. I'll be involved too, and President Sheinbaum will be involved to see whether or not we can work something out on the tariffs.
Somebody says fuck the USA?
China will be speaking to China.
Boys, we got a Canadian in chat.
We don't want fentanyl coming into our country.
We got a Canadian.
Now, we had another big thing. Speaking of China, China's involved with the Panama Canal. They won't be for long.
What can I do for you?
And that's the way it has to be. Marco just got back, as you know. He's in the process of coming back. I guess he's almost back by now. And he had a very long conversation with the leader of Panama, the respected man, and some others, the entire leadership group. And we're trying to work a deal on the Panama Canal. The Panama Canal was given foolishly years ago to, it shouldn't have been happened, years ago to Panama, like Jimmy Carter.
Why do we give it to them?
Group.
What's on your mind?
Why do we do that?
We lost 38,000 people building the Panama Canal, like one of the great wonders of the world. It's the biggest job we've ever built, the biggest project we've ever built in this country, dollar-wise and every other way. 38,000 people died, Americans, all men, just about, laborers and construction people. They went to Panama. The mosquito got them. Between mosquito and snakes, we lost 38,000 people. It was the most expensive project ever built by the United States. The biggest, most expensive project we ever built 110 years ago. If you bring it up to now, it would have been the equivalent of $2 trillion. The most expensive we ever built, and we gave it away for $1, okay? We gave it away essentially for
It should have been
nothing.
at least 5.
And we either want it back, or we're going to get something very strong, or we're going to take it back.
This is ridiculous.
And China will be dealt with.
Keep your feet on the ground.
We didn't give that to China. We gave it to Panama. We shouldn't have given it to Panama, but Panama, as you know, has violated the agreement, totally violated the agreement.
Oh, my
so
God.
That's in the process right now, but they did have a very good meeting with the head of Panama.
Jesus Christ.
On China, you say you're currently thinking about whether China should be forced to pay reparations both for fentanyl deaths and the million COVID.
No, I haven't talked about that, but they do have tariffs. Honestly, nobody, the amount of money that was lost and most importantly, the lives lost because of COVID is not something that anybody could ever even imagine. It's probably $60 trillion, and all the countries in the world don't have $60 trillion. The amount of death and the amount of destruction. And
Yeah, that COVID thing was a pretty big mistake, huh?
$60 trillion.
Yeah, they really fucked that one up, huh?
3 months ago, I was
Yeah, wow.
figuring out, nobody knows what the real number is, but it's almost an infinite number, the damage done. No, but I have not discussed that. What I have discussed is we'll have some good meetings with China. We have meetings planned, and we'll see what happens. But that was just an opening salvo. If we can't make a deal with China, then the tariffs will be very, very substantial. Okay, I'm going to sign this one.
Sir, this is obviously made making America healthy again a key priority in this administration.
No fat
A key
people.
component of that is obviously heart health. This is a ceremonial proclamation declaring the month of February to be National Heart Month.
Okay.
So Black History Month
we're
has
doing
been
very well.
replaced with
We'll
Heart
see, but it looks like we're doing
All
very
right.
well.
Have you been involved with senators who had concerns about Tulsi Gabbard?
Yes.
RFK?
Yeah, I've gotten great response. And they want to do what's right, and we've had a good response. I think we'll do well. We have great people like this. We have great people
When's
coming
Long
in. I think
Month?
I'd like to say the best ever recruited for government. I think we have the finest people ever recruited for government.
Will it take an active Congress?
And you know what? You're starting to see that because we've done more in 2 weeks than Biden's done in 4, 5 years, 6 years. They could be here between him and Obama. You add it up, okay? We've done more in 2 weeks than they've done in 12 years.
Will it take an act of Congress to do away with USAID, or do you believe you have?
I don't know. I don't think so. No, we've not when it comes to fraud.
We got to look
If
at that
there's
woke
fraud, these
video
people are
games thing.
lunatics. And if it comes to fraud, you wouldn't have an active Congress. And I'm
Yeah.
not sure that you would anyway. But we just want to do the right thing.
Where's Big Mike?
It's
Guys,
something
stop.
that should have been done a long time ago. It went crazy during the Biden administration. They went totally crazy what they were doing, and the money they were giving to people that shouldn't be getting it, and to agencies and others that shouldn't be getting it. It was a shame. So they're tremendous fraud. But we'll be doing a report. We'll be giving you that report at the appropriate time. Yeah.
The first term, though, USAID was something that you liked in some respects.
I love the concept of it. Yeah, sure. I love the concept, but they turn out to be radical left lunatics. And the concept of it is good, but it's all about the people.
Mr. President said you also want to impose tariffs on the EU. What kind of tariffs?
We're going to put tariffs on the
We have
EU
massive
too?
deficits with the European Union.
Damn.
Massive. Like $350 billion, if you can
Wow.
believe it. They don't take our farm product.
What's
They don't take our cars.
Uh-oh.
They
Watch
don't take
your
almost
back.
anything, but we take their cars. We have millions of cars coming in, BMW and Mercedes-Benz and Volkswagen and just so many different cars, and we don't do anything about that. And we don't charge them tariffs. They make it impossible to sell cars in the European Union. They make it very difficult, agricultural product. They actually don't take it, and they have a lot of excuses. Some of them are the pesticides and the different chemicals used, and Bobby Kennedy actually is looking at that very, very seriously.
Yeah.
'Cause maybe it's not necessary to use all of that. You know, we want to be the
That's
healthiest
true.
country, and we're not. We
My
spend
mom
more
used
money
to
on
be
food
in
than
on this
anybody else in terms of
Monsanto
its
shit.
creation, but we're not.
She said the pesticides were making
So
people
maybe
like
there is
have
something
cancer
to
and
the
shit.
fact that we shouldn't be using so much chemical.
Yeah, so maybe
And
the EU is
that was,
right.
But Bobby Kennedy is the one, because he is not a believer in all of the things we have done, and neither
Yeah.
are the Europeans. So we'll see what
I don't want
happens. But they
chlorinated
use it as
chicken.
an excuse not to buy our product.
I want Kentucky Fried Chicken.
And you tried. I asked a couple of the leaders. I don't want
RFK is
use
going to make that
names.
happen again.
How many Chevrolets or Fords do you see in the middle of Munich? And the answer is none, because they don't take any cars. They don't take anything. So the European has abused the United States for years, and they can't do it. And they want to make a deal. Let me tell you, in all cases, they all want to make deals. There's nobody that doesn't want to make deals. They've been abusers, and they want to make deals. So we'll see about that. But we'll have, I think, some very good. All we want is a fair deal. And you know, there's a word, reciprocal. I'd go right now, reciprocal tariffs on everybody. Because many of the countries that you feel so horrible about, the way they're being treated by Trump, you're saying, oh, President Trump is so terrible to them. Well, they charge us tariffs. European Union has a VAT tax, which is through the roof.
The value
It's
added.
a similar thing.
It's 25%.
Similar to a tariff. It's a VAT. And they have it, and it's numbers like
Had
you
to learn
wouldn't
about that
believe.
with Starforge.
And, Canada, I told you about the banks, and I told you they charge us. And people don't say that. They don't like to say it. Just like they don't like to say that I opened up the water for California. It's a great thing. It's too bad they didn't do it themselves. I had to do it, and it was not easy. We did it a very rough way. And I didn't like to do it a rough way. We shouldn't have to do it a rough way. But a lot of these countries that we're talking about, you know, they're so-called allies, but they don't treat us well. And just like I got $420 billion, and now it's actually over $600 billion.
Country, that's nuts. Yeah,
The Secretary General of NATO came in 2 weeks ago, and he said it was a miracle when Trump came in. When President Trump came into NATO, he said it was $636 billion. By saying to them, no, you have to pay. And if you don't pay, we're not going to be there for you. You know, somebody has to say it, and they paid. And it was a large amount of money. And one of the problems we have with the Russia-Ukraine situation is that we want to see some equalization, because we're in for close to $300 billion, and they're in for $200 billion less. Why are they in for less? Because Biden never asked them for money. He never said, you got to pay. He never did. All he did is hand out money. So we're talking with them right now, and we're actually working some deals right now.
Oh, my God. Why would he do that?
Some guarantees and some other things to keep that whole situation to go, really going. I mean, going. We're telling Ukraine they have very valuable rare earth. We want what we put up to go in terms of a guarantee. We want a guarantee. We're handing them money.
So we're giving them weapons and then we want their stuff?
European is not keeping up with us. They should equalize. And look, we have an ocean in between. They don't. It's more important for them than it is for us. But they're way below us in terms of money. And they should be paying at least equal. They should really be paying much more than us, but let's say equal to us, and they have billions and billions of dollars below. So we're looking to do a deal with Ukraine where they're going to secure what we're giving them with their rare earth and other things.
Mr. President, the judge's deal with Mexico this morning, was that partially related to the market reaction and a criticism for Mr. Murdoch's own newspaper? He called it the Dutch Trade War. I mean,
I'm going to have to talk to him. I've been right over the Wall Street Journal many times. I will say I don't agree with him on some things. No, it's not only is it not them. You're going to see. You're going to see every single.
I'm not getting live notifications.
Dying to make a deal. You know
Did
why?
y'all get a notification from my stream today?
Really badly, and the United States is tired of just being ripped off. And
a lot of
that's why we have $36 trillion.
I think I'm being suppressed for political reasons
deals with everybody.
It's probably because I'm white.
We don't allow that anymore. So the Wall Street Journal is wrong.
I think that's what's happening.
Very simply, every single country that you're writing about right now is dying to make a deal. Because the deals they have right now are so good and so good for them. So profitable for them. You didn't know that Canada didn't allow our banks. You didn't know all of these different things. And I think in the end you're going to see that either very, very substantial tariffs are going to be paid by them, or they're going to make some kind of a deal.
Did Mexican President Sheinbaum?
Did what?
Did you blink this morning?
There was no blinking. No, she's a wonderful woman, but she did agree to 10,000 soldiers on the border. I would say that's a lot. Would you say that's pretty good? 10,000 soldiers on the border? And the 10,000 soldiers are going to keep illegal aliens out, and they're going to keep them out, seriously out, and otherwise they're going to have a big penalty. Mexico's going to be penalized. They're not going to come through Mexico anymore, and they're not going to let the fentanyl come in from China. And China hopefully is going to stop sending us fentanyl. And if they're not, the tariffs are going to go substantially higher.
Sir, just to clarify what you said about Ukraine earlier, the rare earths, is that something you want them to give the rare earths to the United States?
Yeah. Yeah, I want to have security of rare earth. We're putting in hundreds of billions of dollars. They have great rare earth, and I want security of the rare earth. And they're willing to do it.
Too far away.
Mr. President, on Canada, when you talk to President Trudeau again, is there anything he can give you when you talk again?
I don't know. I don't know. We have big deficits with Canada, like we do with all countries. I mean, I look at some of the deals made, I say, who the hell made these deals that are so bad? But with Canada, I have a talk with him, and you maybe know or maybe not. We're going to meet again or talk again at 3 o'clock, right after my next meeting, and we'll see what happens. I can't tell you what's going to happen.
You mentioned that he could agree to change your mind on the tariff.
Well, we can always look. What I'd like to see, Canada become our 51st state. We give them protection, military protection. We don't need them to build our cars. I'd rather see Detroit or South Carolina or any one of our Tennessee, any one of our states build the cars. They can do it very easily. We don't need them for the cars. We don't need them for lumber. We don't need them for anything. We don't need them for energy. We have more energy than they do. We don't need them for energy. So I say, why are we doing this? Why are we willing to lose?
He said the thing.
Between $100 billion and $200 billion a year. We don't need them. As a state, it's different. As a state, it's much different. And there are no tariffs. So I'd love to see that, but some people say that would be.
Are we going to eat Canada?
If people wanted to play the game right, it would be 100% certain that they'd become a state. But a lot of people don't like to play the game because they don't have a threshold of pain. And there would be some pain, but not a lot. The pain would be really there. So we're going to meet again by phone at 3 o'clock, and we'll let you know what that is.
Oh, shit.
Coming in tomorrow.
Yes, you've mentioned in the past you're concerned about Israel being too small geographically. Would you support annexation of parts of the West Bank by Israel?
Well, I'm not going to talk about that. It certainly is a small, it's a small country in terms of land. See this pen, this wonderful pen? My desk is the Middle East. And this pen, the top of the pen, that's Israel. That's not good, right? You know, that's a pretty big difference. I use that as an analogy. It's pretty accurate, actually. It's a pretty small piece of land. And it's amazing that they've been able to do what they've been able to do when you think about it. There's a lot of good, smart brain power. But it is a very small piece of land, no question about it.
Mr. President, you said earlier that Elon Musk is doing everything with your say-so. So is there everything that he has done thus far, going to all the agencies, shutting off access, getting access to federal payments, that all has yours? You're okay with all of that?
For the most part, yeah. If we, I mean, if there was something...
They're trying to get mad about Elon, about Leon having that, yeah. Leon.
Where you wouldn't let him work because he has conflicts of interest.
If there was a no, I haven't seen that. And he would know not to do it. So we haven't had that yet. But if there was a conflict, we would let him work in that area.
Earlier you said, with regard to Panama, that they were going to make a deal where the U.S. is going to take it. How long do they have to make that sort of deal? And are you still leaving on the table?
We're going to meet with Panama on Friday at about 3:30 in the afternoon by phone, and maybe there'll be some representatives that, here or there. But we're going to be talking to Panama on Friday, essentially. And they've agreed to certain things, but I'm not happy with it.
On the Middle East, Mr. President,
so it's still not enough?
Do you still have doubts that this
Jesus.
On what?
On the Middle East, do you think the ceasefire
I have no assurances that it'll hold. I mean, I've seen people brutalized. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. No, I have no guarantees that the peace is going to hold. Steve, you might want to say something about that.
The Israel-Palestine.
It's holding so far. So, and we're certainly hopeful, and that's the president's direction. Get the hostages out, save lives, and
how many times, bro?
Hopefully a peaceful settlement of it all. So far it's holding.
Mr. President, on a different topic, questionnaires have been going out to FBI agents across the country.
Do you think I don't read your message?
Investigation. Do you believe anyone involved at any level should be fired?
We'll get to it.
Well, I think the FBI was a very corrupt institution, and I'm a victim of it in a true sense. I was able to beat it, but other people have been treated horribly. I think the FBI has a great had a great reputation. I think its reputation was really damaged badly, as
well, they
is
shouldn't have tried to fuck with
DOJ.
Martin Luther King.
Look at what they've done in terms of
How about that?
weaponization. Look at what they've done to a political opponent.
Yeah.
Probably got me elected by what they did. Or I think I was doing well anyway, but they might have got me elected. But you know what?
Snowden.
We have to have pristine, beautiful, perfect law enforcement. And what we want to do, and Cash is the one to do it. He's the one guy that is going to do it. We have to bring the reputation of the FBI. We have to bring the fact of the FBI back to what it could be. Not even to what it was, even better than it ever was. Because who would have thought that the FBI could have been corrupted like they were corrupted? Who would have thought that would have happened? Who would have thought they would have been used to go after,
Who would have thought? I mean, I would have thought.
Me being the number one, and so many other things beyond that. And they've been hurt very badly, and we'll see what happens. But Cash is the one to do it, and I hear he's doing very well. Cash will straighten it out. We have great confidence that we can make the FBI great again. Okay, one or two more and we'll be done. Say it?
Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah, I think Tulsi's going to be doing okay. I'm not sure. I can't guarantee anything, but she's liked by so many people, especially people in the military and law enforcement.
She is in a little bit of trouble with some senators over her thoughts on Edward Snowden. I know Snowden, you've mentioned in the past you're thinking about pardoning him. Are you still? What do you think about that?
No, I don't talk about it right now. I just, people feel very differently. Some people think he should be pardoned, and some people think it would be a terrible thing to do, but I don't get involved in that.
Mr. President, what are you discussing with Mr. Murdoch
Just respect. I have great respect for Rupert Murdoch. I disagree with him a lot of times with the Wall Street Journal, but that's all right. We've disagreed before, and I'm sure they didn't have any idea what they were talking about, because already you see what's happening. Look at Colombia. Look at what happened.
I can't read all your messages.
Everybody said that with Colombia it was going to be a disaster. In 1 hour, everything was settled. You know why? Tariffs. Without tariffs, they wouldn't have been.
That's the word.
The same way. They would not have treated me the way they treated me, which was extremely nicely. And I don't want to use countries. I don't want to use names, but tariffs are very powerful, both economically and in getting everything else you want. Tariffs for us, nobody can compete with us because we're the pot of gold. But if we don't keep winning and keep doing well, we won't be the pot of gold, and then tariffs won't be so good for us. But when you're the pot of gold, the tariffs are very good. They're very powerful, and they're going to make our country very rich again. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
What's on your safe travel?
President Trump remarks inside of the Oval Office.
Okay.
You are watching live now from Fox, everybody.
Where's the Epstein files? Like, when are we going to do that?
Right there, we played it out.
We need to do that. They just had the Grammys yesterday. Like, we need to have the Epstein files. When's it going to happen? So you telling me that does USAID fund woke video games? Here's an analysis. That's supported developmental educational video games to just what? Yep, that's yep, absolutely. Holy shit! Are you kidding me? Interpreting these games as woke would determine on the definition of woke is promoting awareness of social injustices, inclusivity of progressive values. Yep. We gotta shut it down. Holy shit. How much money do they spend on woke video games?
It's too far away. Get closer.
How much money? When does it say how much money? How much money? Your specific number based on I can't give you precise. Okay. If you can't give me a precise number, give me an estimate. Okay. overall budget. How much? Okay, 5 million. Hypothetical 1 billion on education at 5 million. That's surrounding it. It's not that much. That's nothing. That's nothing. Yeah, they got no. That's gotta be more. 5 billion. That'd be a lot. Yeah, that's ooh. It's hard to say. So they are funding this shit. This is just weird, man. What do you mean? What do you mean weird? What do you mean weird? No. You getting pulled up. What do you mean by that? Bro, you gotta stop. Why would I want my tax money going to this bullshit? Why would I want to go into this bullshit? For what reason? For what reason? We gotta stop this shit. Yeah, like the thing is, to me, like, look, you stop the money, it stops happening. That's the way I look at it. Yeah, I want good games. I don't want this bullshit in my fucking games. Absolutely not. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just here to watch it. Okay, then just wait for me to play a game. People losing their jobs equals W? Nah, you a crier. You are a crier, bro. Like, all you do is cry. You're done. Get out of here. All you do is bitch. Every day you come in here and get mad. Get the fuck out. Jesus. Get bitch. I would understand once or twice. But damn, this is a while. Rip Bozo, yeah, he getting mad over nothing. But you quit every game you play? So we got a sucking retard in the chat, apparently. I just beat a whole demo of a game yesterday. I literally beat a whole demo of a game. So how is that true? How is that true? I literally just played a game yesterday, beat the whole game. So what was that? A whole demo? Yeah. Like, what do you think? I'm like, what do you think? It's a fucking marriage? Is it a marriage? Bitch, if it is, I'm getting divorced. I'm not gonna stay stuck through a fucking game. It's a video game. Damn. The hell are people trying to get upset about this shit for? Absolutely not.
The Senate has already confirmed 8 of President Trump's exceptional cabinet nominees. We expect the Senate to continue quickly confirming the remainder of President.
You think I'm being a doomer? Okay. I think that the issues. So this is the big problem. I think the issues is that your guy just started a trade war with the greatest partner for no fucking reason. Everybody's price is about to go 25%. You're saying Democrats are captured by ideology. You don't see, this is the problem, is like you're thinking in terms of logic and facts, and that's not the way that people vote. So you have this idea, you've been captured by the logic of this, and you've decided that, well, because I have convinced myself that this is accurate, then this is what's real. That's fine. Like, you could
I want you to have a really fun summer out here. I only have one rule. Stay out of the basement.
What do you got in the basement?
God's behind all the crazy stuff happening.
You know, for as disappointing as the RTX 5080 was in its raw performance compared to the 4080 Super, and failing to even come close to really meeting the 4090 except for a few outlier cases when it comes to certain games that could leverage it, the overclocking aspect of it, though, has been a lot of fun to play with. So today we're talking about overclocking on the 5080. Spoiler alert, we gained just as much performance ahead of the stock clocks when it comes to uplift than we saw generationally from the 4080 to the 5080. It's kind of magic in a way. So we'll talk about that today. We'll show you the uplifts. I'm going to show you the live comparison, 4080 versus 5080, in terms of like the overclock ability of it, at least when it comes to our sample. I need more cards to test to determine whether or not we have a golden sample. It's rare that I get one, but we might actually have one here. It's kind of crazy. So today we're going to talk about a few things when it comes to the overclock ability of this card. It's a 5080, so I ain't going to be going for no overclock or world record runs, because it's just not. If it can't meet a 4080, then it's obviously not going to be anywhere on the chart. We already showed you the 5090 overclocked. It has beaten every single number on all the charts except for some of the SLI numbers. Actually, no, it beats the SLI numbers. I forgot about that. It is literally the fastest thing on the charts, any chart, period, until it starts getting populated with the XRT guys doing custom stuff in the 5090s. But we're going to talk about voltage, we're going to talk about the frequency, we're going to talk about the fluctuation of voltage and frequency, we're going to talk about power draw, noise levels, all that sort of stuff. So first and foremost, let's go ahead here and just show you the charts. You can pause on the ones you want to pause on. It's a pretty solid uplift of anywhere between about 6% to 10% of performance uplift versus the title. Now, if you remember, our median uplift between 5080 and 4080 across our tests was only 14%, and it dropped down to 11% when we compare it to the 4080 Super, which is about 3% faster than a 4080. So that's why I'm telling you, it's crazy that by just moving some sliders and changing a fan curve, we were able to get that much again in improvement, which puts us into the generational uplift we were expecting of 20+%. Actually, it was closer to 24% when we talk about the uplift when overclocking it. Now, the thing is, overclocking is not a guarantee. You could have a dud that's guaranteed to only run at the advertised clocks, and then you move the slider barely and then it crashes. Or you could have a golden sample, or they refer to as a golden chip, which refers to the ASIC quality being allowed, the core will actually push its frequency higher without requiring any more voltage or any more power. Now, the thing is, the 5080 is a 360 watt TDP card. The Founders Edition card actually has an additional 8% of power limit available to it. Now, if you want to follow along and do this with your cards, we're using MSI Afterburner to do this. And then all our measurements and stuff were done with either Hardware Info 64, Intel PresentMon, or our PMD2. So when we talk about our voltages and that, that's how we're capturing it. It actually says it on the chart. But when we talk about pushing the sliders and stuff, you got to remember too, the NVIDIA cards they're not one-to-one, meaning if I do +1, it's not going to give me +1 megahertz. They operate in a different frequency interval, if you will. So back in the day, it was 13 megahertz at a time. It might be 10 megahertz, 7 megahertz, depending on the generation. So I want to point that out. If you looked at our charts, I was able to run a +375. Now here's the thing. I was actually able to run +500 in many of our tests and have it validate and pass, giving incredible uplift to the performance, even farther than you saw. So at +375 is when I was getting anywhere between 7 to 11% of performance uplift over the stock speeds, not the +500. The thing is, the +500, I would not have probably passed all of our tests. So we just had to run an overclock that was guaranteed to pass all of our tests. I think I could have probably gotten away with like +450, to be honest, with everything. But I tried to pick a number that I think more cards might be able to achieve. And because of the fact that it's a 360 watt card and the 8% power limit gives us 400 watt, actually it says 390 watts in software, but we've already proven you can't trust software wattage. The PMD2 device measured at the 12-volt high power connector was actually measuring 400 watts like on the dot. It would kind of spike above it like 401, 402, and then come back down to like 398, but 400 watts was the median. We know that is well below the spec when it comes to the connector at 600 watts. So there's a lot of headroom. The problem is these cards become pretty much voltage limited from the start. So all of this uplift that you're seeing was at 1 volt, and that's when people talk about the efficiency of 50 series. The 40 series was having to fluctuate anywhere between 1.03 to 1.1 volts, depending on if you move the voltage slider and MSI afterburner to achieve those frequencies, but it fluctuates quite a bit. In fact, before we talk about and show you some live demos, let's go ahead and take a look at the charts when it comes to power and frequency so that you can see just how incredible it actually is, this particular sample anyway. So when we talk about power and stuff, I tested in 2 different ways. FirmArk is used for me to just put an incredible load on the GPU to test the max temperatures we would achieve. The core clocks drop, the voltage drops. It does that to save itself from basically dying. And trying to render the fuzzy donut is very, very hard on graphics cards. But then I use an RT medium preset at 4K in Cyberpunk 2077 to do a real world test. So you'll notice the power draw is going to be much higher in FirmArk than it is in Cyberpunk. So let's start with FirmArk here. If we take a look at the 4K FirmArk test, you can see at stock, which is the 4080, which is the pink line, comes in at under 65C. Stock fan curve, stock clocks, just out of the box settings, no changes at all. The blue line is the stock settings for the RTX 5080. Now, that would make it seem on the surface like the 5080 cooler is not as efficient, but that's because the fan curve is actually heavily tailored towards silence out of the box than it is towards performance. Now, as soon as we put the overclock at plus 375 and plus 500 on the memory and set the fans to 100%, which I'm going to do anytime I overclock a card and I'm going for max settings, I'm going to put the fans at 100%. The yellow line, as you can see, drops all the way down to about 62C under load. Now you'll notice there's a little dip in the chart where the temps come down. That's actually because our heater clicked off during that test. So you can see if a couple of degrees colder in the room does affect your card. There goes that linear scale, non-logarithmic scale from temperature being directly related to your device. So that's why there's that little dip in the chart. Now if we drop on down here to power draw though, you can see that 4080 is a much more efficient card in terms of raw power being pulled from the power supply. At under 325 watts, it's a 320 watt card, so it's going to bounce around depending on voltage, load, frequency, all of those things is why it's not always solid straight line, because it's always fluctuating. The blue line, as you can see, at stock for the 5080 was coming in over 360 watts, which is its TDP. We talked about that in the review. It significantly pulls more from the plug than it's actually rated, which is why we measure with the PMD2 device. I love that device because it shows so many things that software doesn't. So you can see it's actually pulling closer to 380 watts from the plug. Once we overclock it and we push that power percent slider to 180% on the E card, you can see it's drawing pretty much 400 watts across the board. And like I said, it'll go a couple watts above it, a couple watts below it as it hits that headroom, which is why it's locked right around 400 watts, but fluctuates above and below it. So that's a significant power draw uplift over the 4080. And what's crazy about that is it's actually doing it at lower voltage. So if we move on down here to the voltage chart, it's going to be one of the most useless charts you can see when we look at FirmArk, because you can see not only do the graphics card companies, especially NVIDIA, limit the frequency in FirmArk, they also limit the voltage because, again, they want to protect the card from having any sort of damage done to it. It's kind of like when Cinebench, when CPUs and motherboards can detect that Cinebench is going, it'll actually often put a frequency offset to lower the frequency for the CPU to kind of protect it from too much, temperature and too much heat being applied. It can absolutely push CPUs to the limit. FirmArk is kind of the same thing, so it sort of has its own built-in offset logic in here. Now you can see the RTX 4080 is pretty, well, they're actually all roughly the same at about 0.9 volts. So they're going to fluctuate, obviously, depending. You can see the 5080 is slightly more efficient than the 4080. And this is zoomed in, by the way. This is only 0.5 volts to 1 volt. So I had to really push in the range just so you could see it. Otherwise, if I zoomed out and made it like 60 volts, it just looks like a straight. So I had to really punch in for you to even be able to see those differences. Now, when we talk about real world games, Cyberpunk 2077, we go back to the temperatures. You can see, one, they're significantly cooler. You can see the blue line at over 65 C, closer to 67 C for the 5080 at stock fan curve stock settings. Even at the plus 375 offset and plus 500 on the frequency on the memory, you can see the yellow line dropped all the way down to under 60 C through the entire 10-minute run. That's pretty impressive, if you ask me. So that is just saying, screw the acoustics. I want all the cooling under 60 degrees. That is kind of crazy. Pink line is the 4080 at stock, and then you can see the stock, though, jumping up to upper 60s when it comes to the temperature. So actually performing very, very well, even overclocked. Now we talk about power draw, though. You can see in Cyberpunk 2077 at 4K, the pink line is the RTX 4080, a much more efficient card when it comes to not performance per watt, but just raw wattage draw. You can see it's coming in at under 300 watts for most of the run, kind of peaking above it a few times. It is a 320 watt card, keep that in mind. So you can see it's not needing the whole 320 watts. Probably if we were to turn on DLSS and we were to turn on a higher ray tracing setting, you'd probably see it max out of the board power. But as you can see, it's not doing that in this case. A little bit of a power increase, obviously, as we overclock the card because we upped the range. So we went from about 330 watts to just over 350 watts at the end of the test, which is actually still under its 360 watt rating. Funny thing about that, though, is when we were hitting almost 360 watts for the PMD2, it was reporting about 322 watts in software. So thank you, Steve. I will never trust software again. It was very real. But when we talk about the voltage, though, the pink line, or the one that looks like your kindergartner took your pencil and just scribbled all over your paper, is actually the voltage for the RTX 4080 Founders Edition. Now, we talked about the fact that it fluctuates anywhere from 1 volt to 1.1 volts, depending on the use case or the frequency or the power limit headroom. Voltage was very, very much the reason why 40 series cards were limited. Now, as you can see, that fluctuates all over the place, but if you look at the 5080, both overclocked and not overclocked, it's actually pretty much the same. I suspect, though, that the overclocked version of the chart here for the 5080 is just like 0.05 volts. 0.05 volts under the stock is because of the higher fan curve. Keeping the temperatures lower means a little bit more efficiency, and loss of temperature or loss of power through heat is not as present, which is why we're seeing it ever so slightly slower or lower. But once again, this is a 0.5 up to a 1.5 chart. Really had to punch in for you to even be able to see those differences. Now, what about the frequencies? This is what the frequency chart looks like in Cyberpunk between the 4080 and 5080 and 5080 overclocked. Once again, if your voltage is fluctuating all over the place, your frequency is also going to fluctuate all over the place. So as you can see right here in Cyberpunk, the 4080 is fluctuating between high 2600 megahertz to high 2700 megahertz. We're talking about a 100 megahertz swing. Now, if you look at the blue line, the median, it actually looks like a trend line going right through the pink one. That's actually the 5080, but because of the more consistent power draw and the more consistent voltage, we are seeing much more consistent frequencies. This is also why the frame times on 5080 look so much better than the 4080, simply because of the fact that there is less frequency fluctuation. So this is why we talk about frame times being consistent is more important than having lower overall frame times, because you might have a lower overall frame time if you average them out, but if you have higher peaks and higher frame times that have transient spikes, those are going to perceive to more FPS fluctuation, which is going to feel stuttery or just obviously a dynamic situation or feeling when it comes to playing your game. A very straight or very consistent frequency line is what you want when we're talking about FPS and gaming performance for graphics cards. You want a very steady frequency. Now, as we overclock it, you can see, yes, your eyes are not deceiving you. We are achieving 3100 and above at plus 375. Again, not fluctuating very much. I mean, if you look at the range of fluctuation, 100 megahertz on the 4080, we are fluctuating about 20 megahertz on the 5080, even at that overclock, even while being voltage limited. Something about this core and the way it manages its power and the way that it manages its clock speeds and its P states is extremely improved over the 40 series. This is why I say, that wasn't a fart, it was the chair, I swear. That is why I say the 5080 in the overclocking experience made up for the